All right, we're live. Let's just make sure it's going out okay on the old YouTubes there. Come on. Come on. All right, sounds all right. So, um, any interesting internet drama going on? I popped into Davis's stream just because I wanted to share it a little bit. I had listened to it on King of Pole. King of Pole. I listened to it on Medicare's stream. So somebody sent Medicare some audio of King of Pole drunkenly talking to someone he knew, and King of Pole is talking about how he's bi and he's into femboys and boy pussy and that sort of thing, and just really going off. And Medicare is playing it and laughing at it. Now, I don't really have a problem with King of Pole. I really don't. And I feel a little bad for him. Don't look at another man's portal gun. Let he who does not have a questionable browsing history cast the first stone, I suppose. That said, though, I noticed King of Pole on Twitter saying, getting all mad, talking about, I thought Jim was my friend. No, he's not. And I've noticed this a lot. Nobody understands what Medicare is, what Medicare's doing on the internet, and it's amazing that no one understands this, because Medicare routinely tells everyone, and no one wants to hear it. Everyone wants to think that Jim is their friend. And that's understandable because Jim is cool. He's a cool guy. Everybody wants the cool guy to be their friend. But Jim is not interested in being anyone's friend, for better or worse. You could sit here and you could argue that maybe Jim shouldn't have played this, that maybe King of Pole didn't have it coming. But the thing about it is, Jim is a force of nature. He's no more your friend than the weather. The wind may be blowing in your direction, or it may not. But it doesn't care about you. Someone sent this audio to Jim and said, oh, you call yourself a troll? I bet you won't play it. Well, that's exactly what you need to say to make Jim play it. So Jim played it. He's not your friend. And I've noticed time and time again, everybody wants to assume he's your buddy. I had him on the Bechtloff channel at one point. I was lucky enough that he was willing to hop into a stream. And I had a nice little chat with him about Channel Awesome. And it was really nice having him on. Because I really appreciate the work he does online. And he is cool. It's nice to talk to him. He's cool. But cool isn't the same thing as nice. Cool isn't even the same thing as just or righteous or kind or any other positive attribute. Cool is just cool. Batman is cool, and so is the Joker. Likewise, everyone wants Jim to be their friend because he's a cool guy, but he's not your friend. He's not your friend. He doesn't give a shit about you. He doesn't. And I've noticed it was like a lot of these internet blood sports streams, they do sort of like an after show, even though it's still live. They call it an after show. And Jim was on with a bunch of like white nationalist types. And one of them said to Jim, like, oh, Jim, if you weren't dating that Asian girl, you'd be one of us, right? You'd. And Jim's like, a white nationalist? No, probably not. And yet I still heard, it was the very same stream it was the very same audio clip in which I heard Mike Enoch blatantly lie about Aaron Clarey, in which Mike Enoch's like, because they were talking about Irony Bros, and they're like, no, I think Jim's like a crypto. He's one of us. He sees everything we see. He's one of us secretly. No, he's not. He's not. He's not one of you. He's not on your side. All right. He may be destroying the people you want to see destroyed. You know, the wind may be blowing in a favorable direction for you, but the wind isn't on your side. Jim, in a way, Jim is the most pure form of almost objective journalist you can get to. All right. He just is. He just reports, you know, with no concern for loyalty. And I'm not like that. I mean, I guess I'm a little bit like that in that I've basically washed my hands of all causes, except, you know, get off my lawn and have you heard of Jesus? And, you know, I never said I was a very good Christian, by the way. I said I was a Christian. I'm not a very good Christian, but it's okay. Jesus likes me anyways. But I don't have any stake in any causes anymore. I really don't. I've seen so much of it go to shit that I have a little bit of that Jim in me. But I still have friends. Like, I'm still friends with Davis, with Aaron Clary, with Matt Forney, and I stick up for those guys. I like those guys. I'm friends with Luke. He's not really online much anymore, but, you know, Undertow, guys like that. These are actual friends of mine. I consider them friends. Most of them I've met in real life. But yes, actual friends. Jim doesn't have online friends. So stop thinking Jim is your friend. Okay? I know he's cool, and I know everybody wants to hero worship the guy, and thus wants to imagine their own side. And trust me, I understand that. I think he's cool too. Trust me, when I had him on the stream, I had to take a minute to compose myself so I didn't get on here and be like, oh my God, it's Oliver Queen. I had to, you know, as I often say, that's probably how I'd react if I met Stephen Amell, because I love that show so much. Oh my God, it's Oliver Queen, screaming like a 13-year-old girl. I had to make sure, you know, I didn't fanboy out on Jim, because I easily could, because I admire his work. He's entertained me for several years. He's done work online I consider important. He helped expose Nick Bates. Although Nick Bates had already gone to jail at that point, he made sure nobody was ever going to forget about it. He exposed Jonathan Ross. Well, yeah, he's not your friend. Stop thinking he's your friend. And King of Pole, yeah, maybe he shouldn't have done that to you. But you were a fool to expect anything else from him. Okay? Yeah. And in all fairness, Jim is only burning his half of the money. And like I said, I feel bad for King of Pole. I mean, you know, who among us doesn't have a questionable browsing history, at least? You know? I don't like people's private sex lives dug up like that. But it is what it is. Okay, so the other thing I want to talk about, and I guess I should say spoilers. I saw the new Avengers movie. I got to see it this morning. I didn't see it yesterday. I got to see it this morning. Yesterday, I tried to go. Most of the shows were sold out. The ones that weren't, both the theaters in my area have moved to this assigned seating bullshit. Where you know, the only seats available were in the front row, and fuck that. I know you have the reclining seats in there now, and it's not as bad as it used to be in the front row, but I don't want to lay down to watch the fucking movie. You know, the girl at the counter is like, oh, well, you know, the seats recline and it's not that bad in the front row. I'm like, sweetheart, unless you're sitting on my lap, I'm not laying down to watch a movie. And even then, frankly, you'd probably rather watch a movie. But I went home and I'm like, well, I want to see it because it, first of all, it looked good and it was, but also it's one of those rare kinds of movies where I actually have an emotional stake in not being spoiled. And I, I, I knew there was no way in hell I was going to go even a week, um, let alone, wait till it's on DVD and not be fucking spoiled. That wasn't going to happen. So I'm like, all right. So I get home yesterday and I look up online. All right, the one theater, it's kind of the ghetto theater. I mean, they're both nice theaters, but it's sort of in a bit of a ghetto-y area, bit of a Puerto Rican-y area of the county. But and I don't normally like going to it, but it is closer to me, and it's got a morning show, and I'm like, all right, well, you know what? I'm going to skip church this week, and I'm going to go see the morning show. I'm going to go see the 11 a.m. show, and so I do. Actually, had decent seats, good, that nice sweet spot in the middle where I like to sit. Not too far back, not all up close. Maybe like 5-6 rows up. That's a good sweet spot. Anyways, once again, if you care, if you haven't seen this movie and you care about spoilers, don't listen to this stream. That's fair warning right now. Shut it off, shut it down, because I'm gonna spoil out the ass. So, and I also haven't seen Black Panther, and yet I didn't feel lost at all because I knew enough about what happened in Black Panther. I was fine. The New Yorker, I think it was, actually had a review of this where they complained, no one is introduced in this movie. They just show up, and unless you've seen the other movies, you don't understand the character motivations or who they are, what's their. Well, this is a sequel. This is the culmination of a movie series that has gone on for 10 years. Okay. Yeah, maybe this isn't the jumping on point. Okay. Too fucking bad. It's not meant to be the jumping on point. All right. Maybe if you were going to watch Star Wars, you don't start with fucking Return of the Jedi. Maybe if you were going to watch Back to the Future, you don't start with part 3. You don't start with the movie that's supposed to be the culmination of a bunch of other previous movies. Maybe that's not the jumping on point. Okay. So this movie, it doesn't, right from the get-go, it doesn't fuck around. It starts off with Thanos attacking Thor's ship, because after the last Thor movie, Asgard's been destroyed. So they're in this freaking ship, this big old ship with the remaining survivors of Asgard. And Thor's the captain of it, I guess. I don't fucking know. He's the king. I don't know if he's captaining the ship. I don't know how that worked. They don't really describe that. Point is, Thanos shows up there right from the get-go. He's slaughtered basically all of them. He gets the Infinity Stone that Loki had in the Cosmic Cube. Kills Loki. This doesn't look like some sort of illusion Loki pulled. The Loki looks like Loki's done. I mean, maybe he's resurrected or something. Death is a bit negotiable in a universe full of so much crazy shit, but Loki's fucking dead. Thor is, the ship is destroyed. Thor is left floating in the void. The Guardians of the Galaxy find him. They pick him up. So then Thor, Rocket, and Groot, they wander off to go build a new hammer for Thor, right? To this one place where there's some Asgardian. There's a giant midget in space. And yes, I said that, a giant midget. Peter Dinklage is playing a 15-foot tall dwarf who forged Thor's original hammer and is going to forge him a new one. So yeah, Groot, Rocket, and Thor head off in that direction. The rest of the Guardians of the Galaxy, they head off in another direction to go after Thanos. Meanwhile, on Earth, Thanos shows up because there's 2 stones on Earth. There's the Mind Stone that is what is making Vision be alive, And there's the time stone, which is Doctor Strange has it. So they show up to get those stones. Um, in the course of this, Iron Man, Doctor Strange, and Spider-Man end up back on Thanos' ship, heading toward heading out towards Thanos' home planet. Thanos has got a whole bunch of minions in this too. They end up meeting up with the half of the Guardians that didn't go with Thor. Then, meanwhile, back on Earth, more of Thanos' minions attack Wakanda to get Vision's stone, and there's a big old battle with Bucky, Scarlet Witch, Vision, Black Panther, and all the fucking space Dindus that live in Wakanda, space age Dindus, and there's just these tons of fucking subplots go, and nothing really converges because it ends on a cliffhanger. So Thanos wants to destroy half of all the life in the world once he gets all the gems, because that will restore. You know, it's this big. You know, the universe is overpopulated, so he's got to destroy half of all life, and at least here on Earth, he's not entirely wrong. And so he does finally get all the gems. He goes ahead and does it, and holy shit, major fucking characters die. In the like just people just start random, like half of all the people all over the universe just turn to dust and disintegrate. And among them, Black Panther, Winter Soldier, Scarlet Witch, Falcon, basically all the Guardians of the Galaxy except Rocket, Doctor Strange, Spider-Man, Nick Fury, what the hell's her name? Hill something, the chick that's directly under Nick Fury. Yeah, Thanos basically wins, and that's the cliffhanger we're left on. Now, the thing about the Infinity Gauntlet, if you have all the gems together, basically, you know, your only limit is your imagination. You can just weave the fabric of reality however you want. So, much like the original Infinity Gauntlet story, anything that's done with the Infinity Gauntlet can then be instantly undone with the Infinity Gauntlet. And that's likely what's going to happen here in the follow-up movie. In fact, in the original Infinity Gauntlet story, very early in the story, half of all life is wiped out by Thanos. So we'll see where it goes. It's it was a fantastic movie. It doesn't have any downtime. There's no chilling out moment in it, really. It hits the ground running from the beginning, and it really doesn't stop. I thoroughly enjoyed it. You know, it does not follow the formula of a bunch of other superhero movies, even a bunch of, because essentially this movie is almost entirely act 3 of a story, almost from the get-go. You know, we are at balls to the wall, holy shit mode, damn near from the beginning of the movie. And it's really good. I thoroughly enjoyed it. You know, it's probably one of the best of these movies. Josh Brolin does a fantastic job of Thanos. They don't seem to be playing off of the his actually having a relationship with death. It seems more that he just wants to balance the universe because, you know, if the whole universe is overpopulated, it'll lead to basically, if life, as he puts it, if life is kept unchecked, life will cease to be. Which is actually in the original comic exactly what Death told him to do. Death herself, the goddess of death in the Marvel comics, told Thanos to wipe out half the life in the universe because you know, if the scales don't remain balanced, then then life would cease to be, and without life, there will be no more death. Um, uh, but really good movie, and a lot of the scenes as the people were turning to dust were pretty powerful, actually. Um, I actually had like a fake spoiler. So one of those people who posted like, that meme where it's like, I love these spoilers, and it's like spoilers on a car, and then it's something from a new movie, and it said Tony Stark dies in Infinity War, and he's actually one of the few motherfuckers that doesn't. Um, it kind of condensed things back to the original Avengers too. As much as the cast has gotten out of control lately, sort of whittled things down to nearly just the original Avengers for Avengers 4. We didn't see Hawkeye at all in this, but Hawkeye is basically retired at this point. Though who knows, perhaps his family was, one or perhaps even all of the members of his family were affected by this, so that might drag him out of retirement. But a really good movie. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Just a fun, solid, well done action flick from beginning to end. And it's set all kinds of records. All kinds of records this weekend. I mean, you couldn't get a fucking ticket for it for just shit, middle of the afternoon shows. I went to an 11 in the morning show on a Sunday, and it still was crowded as hell. All right, let's see what's going on in the chat, shall we? We'll just we'll hop up to the beginning here. Okay, so somebody says about that Infinity War ending. Oh, and the post-credit scene seems to be hitting around to Captain Marvel, Carol Danvers, Captain Marvel. So I don't know where we'll go with that. Somebody says gay slap fights are the norm on the internet. This is true. Somebody says I'm preemptively liking this video. I'll watch it some other time. It's a work night. Well, thank you. Like, comment, subscribe. You can also hit up that PayPal, Patreon, and Amazon wishlist there, Goy. Medicare has been reading super chats for at least as long as the entirety of his stream. Yeah, I saw that. He was going on for a long time with the super chats. I'm sure he got a ton of them. I mean, if he streamed, he could be raking in money with them super chats. Just doesn't seem to be what he's interested in. So someone recorded a private conversation without the other person's knowledge. That's pretty shitty. Yeah, it is. Like I said, I'm not fond of what happened to Paul there. I feel bad for the guy. I'm not going to act like I'm without sin, so I'm not going to cast a stone at him. My main point I wanted to make is, like, of course Medicare read it. Do you not understand what Medicare is? So he says Medicare is Sigma personified. The Vox Days alpha, beta, gamma, sigma thing. Yeah, it fits in line with that. Somebody says, don't say that out loud. I imagine Vox believes he's the only one. I think Vox cares a little bit more about what people think of him to be a Sigma. God forgive me. There's times I'm beginning to think Vox may be a Gamma. Medicare is like the internet Grim Reaper. Yes, he's coming for your enemies, but that doesn't mean he won't come for you when your time is up. That's true. Was that joke when he was doing the Deviant series? Where I think Shuon had actually said it, and it was credit where credit's due. Shuon Head was actually funny here. She goes, yeah, we're all laughing now, but we're all secretly afraid he's going to get to our fetish. He says, I wonder who would hypothetically win, Medicare or Clary. Medicare is like the unstoppable force, and Clary is like an immovable object. Yeah, but Clary doesn't engage online enough to really even have a fight. Is there something about unconventional politics which makes people become more drawn to unconventional sexual proclivities? honestly, I mean, I hate to sound like Alex Jones with the, you know, with the chemicals in the water and all, but I just think this is just an era of perversion. Okay, I just and let's be real, none of us have gotten away clean from it. Okay, I wasn't always a Christian, and I've done some questionable things in my days. And I'll probably do questionable things going forward. Um, yeah, thank God for the blood of the lamb and all. But yeah, none of us have gotten away unscathed in this day and age. All right. You don't live in a world where every sexual perversion is outright promoted and you get away unscathed. Um, that's why I always had, like, as much as I shit on the trannies and stuff and all on here, um, like the ones that aren't like completely fucking batshit insane, the Blair Whites, um, that kind of thing. In other words, the ones that aren't demanding, I be thrown in jail because I misgendered them and shit like that. Um, those are the ones I feel like nothing but like sympathy for. Um, because look, if you let's see the other one. There's one Natalie Mars I've heard of too. Um, those are the only two I can think of that are like actually passable, like actually look like good looking women. Um, at least when the camera's on them, right? But no matter how good of an illusion you create, it's just an illusion, and I really doubt you're going to age well. And yeah, you might be super popular now. All the perverts want to dump a load in you, but you know, even Hugh Hefner was miserable when he was old. Like, just obviously miserable when he was old. Okay, because this hedonism in general, it's not going to do you any good. It comes with a price later on. But at least somebody like Blair White, I mean, like, I don't feel the need to throw Blair White out of a helicopter. I feel bad for Blair White because look, gender dysphoria, I think, is a real mental condition. I just think that the appropriate treatment should be to bring your diseased mind in line with reality, not try to chemically and surgically mutilate your body until it's in line with your delusion. Even if we can make it a very convincing illusion, But for the longest time, I had a great deal of sympathy towards the gay community. Just because I didn't realize how bad elements of it were, but also I just same reason I felt bad for Hugh Hefner. It just I understand the appeal of hedonism. I understand going down that road. I'm hardly pure as the driven snow myself. So we're all. I don't know if it's that these fringe movements or if it's just that we the chemicals in the water or whatever. I don't know. It's just more prevalent now, I think. And you could say, okay, well, maybe it was just in the closet more. I honestly think it's just more prevalent now. Somebody says Jim would push and Clary wouldn't move. People would laugh and point at Clary, and he would smoke a cigar and answer the torrent of new asshole consulting requests. Somebody says just getting cabin fever. Can't wait until the rain is done. It's so on and off. I'm going nuts. I actually like the rain. I don't mind it. Like, I'm not really a much of an outside guy in the first fucking place. I like to get out of the house, but that's to go to other indoor places. But I like the rain. I like driving in the rain. It's the snow I can't stand. fuck, it's going to be about another year until the new Godzilla, so that's about it with the upcoming movies I genuinely care to see. I don't know. I kind of want to see Ant-Man 2 this summer, but I just would, as much as the movies pissed me off, I don't see myself seeing it in the theater. Let's see. Zach the Bong Ripper says, "I'm here. You can all rejoice now." I guess in the next room we have Remy getting railed. The first Thor movie sucks ass. I don't think the first Thor movie sucks ass. I think it's the first Thor movie I think is pretty good. The second one I think is, that's the thing. I'm not even going to say the second one sucks. It's just very, very, very forgettable. The only things I really remember from it are the jokes where Natalie Portman's assistants were throwing keys and shoes and shit into dimensional portals. The thing about the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and again, bearing in mind that I haven't seen Black Panther, so exclude that one, even the bad ones are okay. When you look at a movie like Thor 2 or Iron Man 2 or 3 or, Edward Norton's Incredible Hulk or something like that, they're still decent. Like, there are no Batman and Robin or Batman v Superman level disasters in the whole bunch. There's no X-Men 3s. There's none of that. There's nothing that's just a complete fucking disaster anywhere in the bunch. And this is how many movies? I mean, shit. Okay, so we got Incredible Hulk, Iron Man 1, 2, and 3, Captain America 1, 2, and 3, Avengers 1, 2, and 3, Thor 1, 2, and 3, Guardians of the Galaxy 1 and 2, I guess Spider-Man Homecoming. So, like, I'm up to 16 here, and I'm pretty sure I've missed some. Ant-Man, Doctor Strange is 18 now. I might have still missed some. So, what are we at? Nearly 20 movies? And none of them haven't been at least watchable. If it has a dwarf in the movie, the movie will be gold. Somebody says overpopulated with all that empty space in space. Well, not all that empty space is habitable. Ballsy of Disney to kill off Black Panther, even if it's obviously temporary. Of course, it ends with a cliffhanger standard. I imagine in Avengers 4 we call it Infinity Gauntlet or Infinity Crusade. I'm thinking Crusade, if I had to bet. Star-Lord calling Thanos Grimace was gold. Let's see, going through here. Does Cool Cat save the kids? Cool Cat always saves the kids. Next Marvel movie, Cool Cat saves the galaxy. Bechtloff, you notice that everyone who died are all the people who still have contracts that don't expire after Avengers 4. Well, I noticed it's kind of the supporting, like, this is an Avengers movie in title, but this is a Marvel Universe movie. But I noticed that at the end of this movie, things get whittled back down to basically just the Avengers again. The Carol Danvers Captain Marvel tease was really lackluster. The theater laughed when Sammy J said his classic line, then went silent seeing Captain Marvel signal. Yeah, nobody cheered. Yeah, that's another one I think they're pushing. Thor's new axe/hammer was a great nod to Ultimate Thor. It's interesting. The reason in the Ultimate line Thor had like a hammer that was half axe, half hammer, because Mark Miller said, there are some versions of Norse mythology that have Thor's weapon was an axe, not a hammer. So Miller just said he decided to split the difference. The RK selection theory holds well even in the small areas. Not sure what that's referring to, but okay. We're also forgetting things weren't necessarily more pure in the old days. Drunk most of the time, everyone witnessed sexual acts. Really, rooms are a modern convenience. Humans are humans. Oh, there's always been perversion, but I just think in some ways, part of it is just the mere fact that we have, things like modern medicine and modern hygiene and sanitation and indoor plumbing. Now, to some extent, people will say like, I don't understand how anyone could fuck someone in the ass because it's so disgusting. That's what people shit out of. Yes, but you have to understand that when people are aroused, the disgust part of their brain shuts off a little bit. And there's a reason for that, because think 500 years ago, 1,000 years ago, 5,000 years ago, 10,000 years ago, when our species was, still living in caves and shit like that, we all stunk to high fucking heaven. All right. It's a miracle any of us ever fucked. But all that said, I think that, when you have modern sanitation, modern medicine, you can get more degenerate. You can get away with it, basically. Like boomers like to, like back in Roman days, it was considered disgusting to perform oral sex on somebody. Yeah, I imagine it was disgusting to eat nasty, unwashed pussy. But eating clean pussy is a whole different matter. Let's see. Thoughts on Andy Worski? I don't really have much in the way of thoughts on Andy Worski. I don't watch a ton of Worski live. I don't have any ill will towards the guy. I think he's just kind of a goofy, lovable pothead. I don't find him as entertaining as I do the Kumite guys. I just don't. I find him entertaining as like a side character, as it were, in these dramas. But I just don't see him holding a show. That said, everyone, JF, I always thought was a pretentious asshole. I just can't. JF just rubbed me the wrong way. Worski seems fine. I don't have a problem with him. It's just not something. Not something I'm a big fan of. So Bechtloff, golden question here. How do you think Adam Warlock will, if at all, factor into dealing with Thanos? I don't think they're really going to rip into Adam Warlock. I know they hinted around to him at the end of the one Guardians of the Galaxy movie. I guess part 2 it was. That said, though, Adam Warlock's lore is pretty fucking deep. You'd almost need its own movie to explain that to people, and I just don't see him carrying a movie. And to some extent, that's the real reason that's one of the main reasons these stories are going to be much different than the original comic book thing. Because while Infinity Gauntlet was considered this huge, Marvel crossover, it wasn't a crossover in the sense of, say, Secret Wars, where it was important to all the characters to some extent, at least, and all the characters had at least some time to shine. No, Infinity Gauntlet is the Thanos and Warlock show with a whole bunch of guest stars. Likewise with Infinity War, with Infinity Crusade, hell, with even later stories like Infinity Abyss. They were the Thanos and Warlock show with a whole bunch of guest stars. But I just don't see Warlock really becoming a big part of the Marvel Universe. I doubt that we're really going to get much of a follow-up. Somebody says, just got here from Jim's stream. What did I miss? I talked about what Jim was talking about, so you missed that. And then I talked about the new Avengers movie. Hey, Landshark, aka Bechtloff, I bought Zelda Breath of the Wild because of your half-ass review, and right now I'm about to fight Ganon. Wish me luck. Well, you're further along than I am, because I've just been doing a whole bunch of digging around. I really got to go ahead and complete the Divine Beast now. But yeah, I actually am not anywhere near fighting Ganon. That said, though, I poked around in the castle some, and I got to the wind form of Ganon, and he proceeded to kind of push my shit in, and you can't even teleport out of there. So I just went to my last save spot, which was right before that. Hey, Bechtloff, you hear the rumors of the Sentry getting a movie? I'm not sure how you'd really pull that off, but I think there's potential for that to be good. I have not heard rumors that was going to happen, though. You're the first person I've heard even say that. The Red Skull cameo was pretty good. The theater got audible at that. Yeah, that was actually really cool to follow up the the dangling plot thread of what happened to the Red Skull. That was very interesting. And you know, for as much as people shit on Marvel, oh, these Marvel movies don't have good villains, I would point to the Red Skull. And remember, this is pretty early in these movies. You know, I would point to the Red Skull as definitely one of the exceptions to that rule. Hugo Weaving's Red Skull was fantastic. There's been a few really, really standout villains. I don't think it's quite fair to say the MCU doesn't have good villains. First of all, if you're counting a new Spider-Man movie, Michael Keaton's Vulture, absolutely fantastic. James Spader's Ultron was great. Hugo Weaving's Red Skull, fantastic. And Josh Brolin's Thanos was really good. Somebody says, do all the shrines, you won't regret it. Yeah, I've done most of them. I get the feeling the Venom movie takes place during Spidey's absence. I don't. The trailer makes it appear that this is a world in which Spider-Man does not even exist, which is a major problem. It's sort of similar to the biggest problem that old Teen Titans cartoon had, where, you know, Teen Titans existing in a universe where there's no Justice League, sort of sucks the whole point of the Teen Titans as a concept away from it. The problem with the Marvel movies isn't that they don't have good villains, it's that they try to kill too many of them off. Yeah, that's a common thing in superhero movies, though. Kingpin in the Netflix series has been the best Marvel villain so far. Yeah, I'd go with that. But then again, that actor is Vincent D'Onofrio, or I can't remember that guy's name. Vincent something or another. He's a fantastic actor. If you've never seen it, the show, the Law and Order spinoff show he did, Criminal Intent, where he played Detective Gorham, that is some of the best cop drama shit that was ever on TV. Detective Gorham is probably one of the best characters that was ever on TV. I highly recommend it. Well, looks like that was the chat. Let's see. Somebody says Natalie Portman is aging badly. Yeah, nobody likes working with her, so that's sort of why she's gotten written out of these movies. Nobody likes working with Gwyneth Paltrow, which is why she's not in them much. Hulk got his shit pushed in, so he's hiding inside Banner now. Oh, that's the other thing. After the initial encounter with Thanos, Banner couldn't get himself to turn into the Hulk anymore. And every once in a while, like, he'd try and force it, and the Hulk would just scream like, no, and then he'd change back into Banner. So at least the subtext I read out of it was the Hulk was just afraid. Like, for the first time in the Hulk's existence, basically, he was really, really afraid. Are there any cop superheroes? Savage Dragon, Eric Larson's character, over at Image, I believe he was a cop. That's the only real one I can think of. So he says villains living on to later work together and come up with wide-eyed plots is the best part. Yeah, that's kind of one of the sad things, is you're not going to really see a team of villains pop out of the Marvel Universe. That would be the tits, you know, Red Skull and Abomination and stuff like that. You know, maybe. Although I believe he's soured on it, so he wouldn't want to come back. But Mickey Rourke as a Whiplash, that kind of thing. Somebody says Savage Dragon is just hentai porn now. I don't know what that's referring to, but Martial Law from Dark Horse. That was a different kind of super cop. I guess Judge Dredd, if you're going to count that, too. Let's see. Nightwing was a cop for a while. I wasn't familiar with that. Yeah, I didn't know that. The Punisher wasn't a cop. I don't think so, was he? Was he a cop? I know he was in like the movies. I'm trying to think if he was a cop in the original comics. Well, to be honest, the Abomination is still alive. Yeah, but I doubt we're going to see him. They really, really, aside from General Thunderbolt Ross making his reappearance in Civil War, they really tried to almost ignore what's his name's Incredible Hulk movie, Edward Norton's Incredible Hulk. Savage Dragon is just pages of nudity with sex scenes now. Well, Eric Larson lost his shit after Trump got elected. He lost his fucking mind. From what I understand, that comic's nothing but like fuck Trump too now. So he says, no, the Punisher was a normal working class man caught up in the crossfire with his family in Central Park. Yeah, that's what I thought in the original comic. I didn't think he was a cop. I knew he had the military background, but I didn't think he was a cop. I know like the 04 Punisher movie, they made him like an ex-cop, that kind of thing. Yeah, but I didn't think in the regular like comic Marvel universe he was a cop. Let's see what's going on the old interwebs here. Check the Gab. I can't post on Facebook right now, so I did not post this on Facebook. I have a 24-hour ban on posting. I can respond to messages, but I can't post. Nothing really going on the old Gab. People responding to messages, but not anything. Punisher is an ex-Marine in the movie. He's a cop. Yeah, I knew he was in the military. I hadn't heard he was a cop. No. So he says delete Facebook. Honestly, I it's just really, really handy to keep in touch with friends and family. I gotta be honest with you. Holy shit. Somebody on Skype just sent me a picture of Mercedes Carrera. You may remember her. She was involved in the Gamergate thing. Porn star that was involved in Gamergate. I guess this is a recent picture of her. She's starting to really hit the wall. Yeah. That's a shame. I mean, she was hardly a spring chicken a couple years ago, but the years not been kind to her. Okay, so does it look like the wall hit her? I think Vision and Loki are the only perma-deads now. I don't know about Loki or about Vision. I don't know. That might get undone. We'll see. I suspect everyone who disintegrated in the great 50% thing is probably all gonna get undone. My Facebook is dormant. I don't use it except to contact people I can't get in touch with otherwise. The messaging thing on it's very handy. I'm actually relieved that despite the fact getting a 24-hour ban, I can still use a messaging. That's nice. It's weird. The reason I got a ban is I posted nudity. There's a group I'm in. Just kind of a bunch of shitlords, a lot of ex-Manosphere guys, and you post pinup pictures of chicks. So I posted this redhead pinup picture that actually somebody on my Discord posted, and I guess the Facebook caught it, and they gave me a strike. It's weird too. It was in a private group, so I was a little surprised. Let's see. Sorry, somebody sent me something here. Very, very professional, I know. I'm just super fucking professional. Um, wait a second. So we're on Skype here. I wanted to message you here instead of chat to be anonymous. Since Disney owns Fantastic Four, how would it go with the next Avengers? The Infinity Gauntlet rebirths the universe, and that's what creates Galactus. Might be interesting. I think that the Marvel Cinematic Universe should be wound down. I think that what's going to end up happening in the next wave of movies is you're going to get to a lot of characters that I don't give a shit about. I'm sure that they want to push the Muslim Durka Miss Marvel at some point. I'm sure they're just dying to fucking push her. I don't give a shit about Carol Danvers anymore. Years ago, I did. She was one of my favorite characters years ago before they Mary Sue dyked her up when they turned her into Captain Marvel. I really, really don't care about any of these newer wave of movies. What I would ideally want to see, for up to me, you reboot the fucking thing, and I don't even want to see movies anymore. I want to see shows. Because the thing about it is it's like I'm often impressed with how much we've gotten done in this movie series, but at the same time, it's been 10 years. We could have done a lot more in 10 years. Imagine what shows could have done in 10 years. The thing about it is, I'm never going to see a good live action, faithful interpretation of Carnage. And no, whatever happens in these shitball Venom movies doesn't count. I'm never going to see a faithful interpretation of Carnage or Hobgoblin, for example, or obscure villains like Demo Goblin and shit like that. If we don't get shows, what I would want to see happen, if you could get the rights back to shit, launch on something like Netflix, launch a Spider-Man show, an Avengers show, a Fantastic Four show, and an X-Men show, all existing in the same universe. Maybe a fifth show, kind of an anthology sort of, call it like Marvel Knights, and you focus on darker characters like Punisher and Doctor Strange and Ghost Rider and Blade and shit like that. Street level / horror shit. That would be fantastic. That would be the ideal way to do it, because I think that this has just kind of run its course. The actors are getting a bit old for it, and let's see. By the way, folks, and I just messaged somebody back. If you message me on the Facebook page, the Bechtloff Facebook page, do let me get the last word in. Because otherwise it messes up the my response rate. So don't be like responding like okay and shit like that, because then I gotta like give a thumbs up or something. I know it's personal pet peeve, but I like keeping the response rate up. So we're like, you like hot redheaded women? Banned. You're supposed to like fat uggos or men. Yeah, I guess I could have posted fucking a nude of what's Blair White or something like that, or Natalie Mars or something. They'd have been all over that. Oh, that's okay. That's okay. I don't think Blair White's put her nudes out there. I'm sorry, his nudes out there. So he says, so when Thanos killed 50% of the universe, did that also kill 50% of the planets he already killed 50% of? I'm not sure. So will we not talk about the large plot hole that was Strange not using the time stone to fight Thanos? I kind of think he did. Okay, so I'm going to give my speculation here. Doctor Strange Thanos is about to kill Iron Man. Doctor Strange gives him the time stone, and in exchange for sparing Iron Man's life. Then later, they're still stranded on that planet that they had fought him on. Because once Thanos gets all the stones, he heads to Earth, or all of them except the one Vision had. He heads to Earth. Well, once Thanos does the 50% thing, and Doctor Strange is disintegrating, he looks at Tony and he says, "It was the only way." That's his last words. Now, before that, before Thanos shows up and Spider-Man, have most of the Guardians and Iron Man and Doctor Strange fight Thanos, um, Doctor Strange was using the Time Stone to scan possible futures, and he said something like 14 million, and there was only one in which he won, in which they actually won. Well, they didn't manage to get the gauntlet off Thanos. They almost got it. Actually, Peter Quill fucked it up. They almost got the gauntlet off Thanos, though. But I suspect that in that last moment, Doctor Strange here's the thing. I think Doctor Strange knew that, in other words, the only way at that point was let Thanos get what he wants. His guard will be down. Someone can get the gauntlet and undo what he did. And maybe that's why he was so keen on Iron Man being spared, because maybe Tony would be the one to come up with the plan to get the gauntlet away from him. Because once Thanos does what he wanted to do, he actually goes and like retires in some cabin on some planet somewhere, and he's not even wearing the gauntlet. It's hanging up on a wall or something. Who the fuck knows? He hid it or something. So that's kind of what I think. I think Doctor Strange did, in a way, use the Time Stone, and he knew that it was going to have to get worse before it got better. So he says, well, Bechtloff, Disney Marvel has approximately 20 or 21 movies in the work. If they get the X-Men, Fantastic Four, and Deadpool licenses, here's the thing, though. Don't believe a movie is going to fucking happen until you see it, at the very least, a teaser trailer. Remember, we were supposed to get an Inhumans movie this year. You know, at one point they were swearing up and down we were going to get a Black Widow Hawkeye movie before Avengers 2. I've observed comic book movies for like 20 years plus now. Trust me, you don't believe it's going to fucking happen until you see a trailer. I remember hearing up and down that around 99, 2000, the Dimension was going to have a Ghost Rider movie, possibly before there was going to be an X-Men movie, because they were just they had gotten the rights, like, I think right after Blade was a success, and they were going to churn that out, and it just never went anywhere. Finally, Columbia ended up making what the Ghost Rider movies we did get. So he says the gauntlet was destroyed when Thanos used it too. Well, the gems weren't. Starman Child had to fuck it up at the end. The Inhumans, the MCU abortion. Yeah, they ended up using it in the fucking Agents of Shield show, and I guess there was an Inhuman show. I guess that came and went. It was a disaster from what I heard. But remember, that was going to be a movie. They were, oh no, we're going to make this a movie. We're going to make it happen. It's not going to happen. Yeah, this thing this thing that can't even hold up a fucking comic is not going to be a movie. The Inhumans are an interesting concept within the Marvel Universe, and there's a handful of interesting characters, but not enough to hold a book. They've never been enough to hold a book. They're never going to be enough to hold a book. Quit trying to make the Inhumans happen, Marvel. It isn't going to happen. Let's see. Somebody says, no one spoil Infinity Wars for me. Well, you probably shouldn't listen to this stream then. I assume you've just hopped in because I was spoiling the ever-loving fuck out of it. Wonder if Disney would exploit Marvel till everyone starts getting sick of superhero movies, or maybe they will take a sabbatical with those movies. Well, here's the thing. Part of the reason everybody is saying they're sick of superhero movies is also part of the reason superhero movies aren't going anywhere anymore, anytime soon. And that's because they're the only things out there. There are no other good movies being made, damn near. There are no other genres that are, represented healthy way through Hollywood. It's just not happening. Hollywood doesn't have anything else. Being able to draw on about 5-6 decades worth of Marvel storytelling for their movies is the only fucking well they have of creativity left. I would say it would probably be best to wind it down and let it sit for a while. But that would imply that Disney has something else to make money with. And that just doesn't seem to be the case. So, yeah, they're going to beat the fuck out of it. The Inhumans was just Marvel attempting to phase out the X-Men. Well, no, the Inhumans as a concept has existed, since the 60s. I mean, it's not like they just came up with that. Yeah, they were pushing it because they wanted to be able to replace the X-Men, but let's see. But yeah, the Inhumans, it's not happening. You see Jim's Meadowcast today. Yeah, we talked about that earlier. That was the first thing I talked about. But again, I would not. You might want to go back to the beginning of this and listen to that, and then don't listen to the rest, because if you don't want Avengers 3 getting spoiled for you, you should not be listening, because that's kind of what we're talking about now. I can't wait for Marvel and Fury to look like stupid men compared to Carol Danvers and Captain Marvel. Sarcasm. Oh, man. It's a shame they're not doing an actual Marvel thing. That would be pretty damn cool, but whatever. Heaven forbid we have nice things. Let's see. The main profitable thing Disney has is the theme parks, and they're trying to fix that by shafting their pass holders. I would have thought movies would have been their more profitable thing. I mean, there's only 2 of the theme parks, but I'd never been to either one. I was down in Florida, but I went to Universal. Yeah, and in all fairness, Universal, at least back when I went, this was like 03, 04, some shit like that. They had they were the ones that had the Marvel shit back then. Which I wonder how long Universal is going to be allowed to have that. Because, I mean, obviously, when you build amusement park things, you probably get a pretty long-term contract. But I know newer Marvel shit's getting put in Disney. Bechtloff, are you ready to use the exploit on your Nintendo Switch? I don't know what you're talking about. I mean, I honestly don't. I don't know. I don't. Um, Jude Law is playing Marvel in the fucking movie. I mean, at the very least, Disney could do is make Captain Marvel about Marvel and him mentioning Carol Danvers. Um, I don't know. I don't know what they're gonna do with it. Um, Beckloff, you checked out I Love Comics and Comics Divisions. I have not. I have not checked that out. I know you've mentioned it a couple of times on here. I mean, what the hell do I watch on YouTube? There's a few shows I watch regularly, but not many. I mean, like I catch Jim obviously when he's streaming live. There's a channel. It's a lot of gaming shit lately. There's a channel SNES Drunk. I watch a lot of his videos. Console Wars. They have pretty good videos. I enjoy that. There's a channel On the Stick. He has a show same name, different game, where he takes a look at like say Beavis and Butthead, for example. He did comparison of the Super Nintendo versus Genesis Beavis and Butthead, and then he did a follow-up episode years later, comparison of the Game Boy versus Game Gear Beavis and Butthead games. Stuff like that. It's a decent channel. What else do I watch? There's a channel Nitro Rad I started watching recently. A bit of an annoying soy boy, but he's covered some games that kind of interesting. Like he did a retrospective of the Pac-Man World games. Pet the NES Punk, I check them out regularly. Some call me Johnny, gaming historian, shit like that. Oh, I watched an interesting video yesterday. This again, just randomly suggested to me, but it was the testimonial of former male porn star Randy Spears. If you search for the video, it's titled "Former Male Porn Star Randy Spears Testimony." It's some former male porn star that became a Christian. Interesting stuff. What else do I watch? I'm scrolling through my recent history here. A whole bunch of porn. Actually, no, it's YouTube. There's not any porn. Ant Dude, I check out his channel. What else? Like I said, it's mostly gaming channels I watch right now. Zeltic, I've been checking them out recently. There's a bunch of Zelda videos, kind of interesting. Let's see. Angry Video Game Nerd, obviously. Check that shit out. His Earthbound review was pretty awesome. Still check out Obscurus Lupus channel from time to time. Movie Nights, it's called. Cygnus Destroyer, I'll check him out once in a while. Innocent Till Proven Guilty is a decent series. I'll check out Metal Jesus Rock sometimes. I'm rather annoyed by the name Metal Jesus, if I'm being honest with you. I kind of take kind of turn into an old school mom there, where I don't appreciate the Metal Jesus name. Partly because I don't appreciate the oh, I'm edgy, I make fun of Christianity thing. I look like Jesus, I have long hair. But that's that sort of false edginess I expect from somebody with metal in their name. That said, though, as much as I want to dislike the guy, it's a good channel, and he is a decently charming guy. The name's just faggy as hell. What else? What else did I watch? Oh, Kumite, I watched that. It's not really gaming. Let's see. Yeah, it's mostly just those channels. Yeah, I don't really watch anything comics related anymore. I mean, I'm not really keeping up with the current comic stuff. Oh, I meant to watch this. This is Jay Dyer and Styx had that debate. I meant to catch that actually. Let's see. So he says, I actually think Thor will get a fourth movie. Ragnarok was a shot of steroids in the Thor franchise arm. People also love him in Infinity War. Well, the first couple of individual movie sequels generally suffered from, I don't know how to put this, like, once you do an Avengers movie, it's difficult to do just a Captain America or just an Iron Man movie. The elephant in the room becomes, where are the other heroes, you know? And whereas in a comic, you can have other heroes guest star very easily, but not be important. It was kind of difficult to do initially because these guys demanded so much money, you know, so you wanted to use them a lot. They really broke out of that with Captain America 3, I think, which ended up being Iron Man 4, Captain America 3, and Avengers 3 all at the same time. That said, so when Thor Ragnarok was a Thor and Hulk buddy comedy, you know, you could focus on shared universe stories that aren't big Avengers stories. That was a big deal, and same with why now Captain America 2 was good. It was the only one of those ones that was really good, being its own standalone sequel. But then Captain America 3 became a Captain America story that involved the Marvel Universe. You know, I think that was a big problem with some of the early sequels. They felt like step backs. They felt irrelevant almost. Like Thor 2 is a good example of that. Iron Man 3 is another good example of that. Iron Man 2 is one they just put out as a placeholder. So it's a bit of a mess. That said, though, Iron Man 2 probably has the best depiction of Black Widow in the entire, you know, Marvel Cinematic Universe. First of all, that actress was never in better shape in that movie. I mean, she was not in bad shape in any of the Avengers movies, but although she's looking a little rough in Avengers 3 there. But you could bounce a quarter off her stomach in Iron Man 2. Plus, she was an actual super spy in Iron Man 2, not just chick with a 9mm following the Avengers around. Somebody says, I'd love a Thor and Beta Ray Bill movie. I mean, I could see that working. I mean, I could see him being a character, but you're not going to get him like replacing Thor kind of thing. Not in a movie. Let's see. What's your take on the elderly abuse that Stanley is going through? I don't really know entirely what he's going through. That's the thing, and part of me, I don't want to know. You know, I don't. He's an old man. His wife died. He's dying probably. You know, and he's not my friend. I don't want to rummage through his trash. I don't want to know his personal life. Yes, he made, you know, many characters that brought me a great deal of joy and a great deal of other people some joy. But, you know, I don't know what he's going through. But, you know, make your peace with God, Stan. That's the only thing I'd say to him. I don't. So he says, why do all the heroes in the Marvel Universe all work together no matter where they are in the world? It seems like all the heroes in the Marvel Universe are like classic liberals. I'm not sure what you mean by that. I mean, why do they all work together? You know, if you, I mean, in the comics, they really don't. You know, they're routinely at odds with each other. You know, and sometimes not on the best of terms. You know, Spider-Man was way too much of a loner for a very long time. The Avengers and the Fantastic Four were always very close with each other, almost all the time. But the X-Men were kind of outcasts, that sort of thing. But I don't know. It's just, you know, when the shit hits the fan, people tend to form a united front when they have a common enemy. Turns out Stan Lee's daughter is abusing him and stealing his money. That is the rumor, but I mean, I don't know. I don't know what's going on with them. They all work together because they're not alt right. Shit. Some people actually can work together. The alt right really can't, nor can your centrists, because they constantly want to throw the guy, to the right of them under the bus. But some people are able to say, hey, common enemy here. Maybe we should stop being faggots. You can only show so much conflict in the movies. Comics probably have more room to heroes to be at odds with each other, which is another reason I would prefer, if we were going to reboot things, to go to a bunch of interconnected shows. I think in many ways it's more impressive what the Arrow and Flash universe have been able to do than what the Marvel Cinematic Universe has done. Again, because they have whole seasons of shit to work stuff out. So he says, I was irritated by Shuri making Banner and, by extension, Tony look stupid by how they built Vision. That was too much for me. Yeah, that I didn't care for that. Look at the Dindu chick in the in Wakanda is smarter than everybody. Yeah, okay. Oh gee, why did you create this, miracle, synthesis of Ultron Jarvis and this magical Mind Stone? This how could you have been so stupid in creating this Magitech? Fuck you. Also, how the hell did Tony get nanite armor? I don't know. You could almost say, why is it taking him this long? So he says, I mean, you would have superheroes from other cultures that would be more at odds than the petty personal conflicts of the universe. I would like to see Muslim heroes just uniting. Again, that's something interesting that has happened in the Marvel comics over the years. There was a storyline called Contest of Champions back in the early 80s, late 70s. I think it might even have predated Secret Wars. But a bunch of superhumans from all across the world were brought by this alien to battle each other. The Grandmaster, the guy Jeff Goldblum played actually in Thor 3. And there was at one point where there were teams on each side or something like that. I can't remember exactly what it was, but there was a superhero that I don't even want to say superhero, superhuman. Whether you call him a hero or not is subjective. But there's one called Sabra, who's this Israeli superwoman, and then there was another guy who he's literally got a turban and one of those fucking medieval style fucking swords, and he's this Muslim superhuman. No fucking lie, I think he had a flying carpet. I can't remember the guy's name, but he's all I'm not gonna hang out with this Jewess and shit like that. And then there's this Irish superhero chick, this redhead chick, and she was had a 4-leaf clover motif or some shit, and she did no part of Captain Britain. So I mean, they do shit like that in the comics, and that's just Marvel. I know DC's done similar shit. I'm not as steeped in DC shit as I am Marvel. So he says, yeah, 16-year-old is smarter than 240, 50-something-year-old mega geniuses with lifetime experience. Yeah, yeah. No, she's not smarter than Tony Stark. She's not smarter than Bruce Banner. Fuck that. Characters like Tony Stark and Bruce Banner, and although he's not in the MCU, but he's in the actual Marvel comic universe, Reed Richards, those are characters that are smarter than any living person. Okay. That's how smart these characters are. All right. The greatest minds of the real world would pale in comparison to them. So he says, that shit I want to see more of. That sounds great. Well, read the comics. I would say read Marvel Comics before 2012, and you'll find some cool shit. 2012, that's when stuff went to hell and back. But stuff before that, you're going to find some great shit. You know what I suggest if you want to read some comics? And you might not have one of these in your area. I don't know. But in my area, there's several comic book stores where you can find really good dollar bins. Or if you go to a convention, you can find really good dollar bins. And these are just comics that are kind of beat up, but they're perfectly fucking readable. You drop $50 and you just got yourself a huge stack. And you know what you do? You just go through and like if something catches your fucking eye, pull it out. You know, if you pull out a fucking like if you pull out a Spider-Man issue and you see Captain America's on there and you're like, I like both these characters, I'll check this shit out. That's how you get into comics. If you want to check out comics. All right. Yeah, to trade paperbacks and all that's fine. But that's one of the best ways. Just fucking dive in like that. And there's cheap ways to do it. You know, drop $50 at a dollar bin or maybe even a 50-cent bin, and you're just walking away with all these reads. And yeah, you might not know everybody in it, but you got the fucking internet at your fingertips. If there's some character in there, you're like, who the fuck is this guy? You know, Google it. Go on comicboards.com and ask them. Like, scan a picture and be like, who's this motherfucker? Like, I didn't have that when I was getting into comics, by the way. Like, I had to just fucking make do. Like, I had some basic knowledge from watching the cartoons and shit that were around at the time, like the Spider-Man and the X-Men and the Batman cartoons. That was basically all the fuck I had. Okay. And, you know, and I bought like superhero trading cards to learn about characters and shit like that. But I didn't have, you know, the fucking, you know, everybody that complains about, oh, there's so much fucking, oh, all this continuity, I don't know where to start. Just grab a fucking comic and start. Basically, before 2012 or before like the new 52 in DC, it's all good. Just grab a fucking comic and start. There's been tons of superhero movies too now. So you're somewhat familiar with the basic characters. You're more familiar with them than I was going in. You know? I hate when people whine about the continuity's too much. I don't know where to start. You know how many franchises over the years have gotten popular when they already had, you know, Doctor Who reached its height of, and I don't even like Doctor Who, but it's a good example of this. Doctor Who reached the height of its popularity when it already had decades of established continuity, some of which was essentially impossible to go back and watch because it's been lost. And people, fine, hop in, catch up. It's fine. So he says they restart the universe every few years. What do you mean continuity? Well, DC does. DC's had a whole bunch of reboots. Marvel really hasn't. Basically, almost everything counts in Marvel. So, yeah. Go back, read shit. Trust me, man. It's easy enough to hop in. Like I said, if I was going to tell somebody to get into comics right now, I'd say, you know what? Go find yourself a dollar bin. You know, I mean, hell, the CNC's Comic Cave, where I used to work with my buddy at the flea market, it has an amazing dollar bin. You know, actual stuff. You know, some dollar bins you're gonna find are shit. It's gonna be like all Image Comics shit nobody cares about. You know, but especially if you were to go to like a con or something, you can find great shit. Why does everyone who dies at the end of Infinity War, even their clothes disintegrate? Bucky's metal arm, Black Panther's nanite suit, Drax's sword. Well, probably because you touch yourself at night. We used to have to read comics in the snow uphill both ways, and we liked it. You're damn right. Damn right. Let's see. Scrolling through the chat here. Back in my day, exactly. But yeah, it's easy enough to hop into it. I've never bought this whole way. The continuity is so confusing. I don't know where to get in. Just hop in. Just hop the fuck in. You know? Well, I'm probably gonna wrap this up. I've gone on long enough. All right, folks. If you enjoy the content I make, hitting the PayPal or Patreon or the Amazon wish list, that's all greatly appreciated. That helps me keep doing what I'm doing. And also, you can follow me on the Gab. You can follow me on the Facebook. And now you can follow me on the Twitter. Well, you can follow the show on the Twitter. I'm not actually doing it right now. But Luke is running the Twitter of the show, so you can follow that. The Bechtloff podcast, not the Bechtloff. Bechtloff podcast is what it is on Twitter. It's the Bechtloff on Gab. It's the Bechtloff on Facebook. You can follow me there. Although I won't be able to post on Facebook till tomorrow, but whatever. Yeah, that's about all we got for tonight, folks. Thanks for listening. Bechtloff out.